Welcome to the study session for March 18th, 2024. Welcome to the City of Westminster Council study session for March 18th. We thank you for coming and would like to remind all in attendance that our meetings are subject to the rules of decorum that are posted inside the chamber doors. These rules are in effect while our meetings are in session, as well as during breaks and transitions between meetings. We want to be sure all feel welcome and remind all there's an expectation that no attendee shall disrupt this meeting and that threats and intimidation are prohibited. No attendee shall engage in audible expressions of support or opposition for any speaker. Signs and placards are not prohibited, and all attendees shall remain seated in the seats provided, not in the aisles, nor shall the doorways be blocked. City Council reports. Councilor Izadi, any reports?
No.
Councilor Hott.
I attended the last Blueprint Task Force meeting with Adams County 5-Star Schools. And then last week I attended NLC, which was really exciting. I hope I get to go again next year. I was able to meet and build relationships with mayors and city councilors from all over the country. And they had department open office hours, which I thought was, that was one of my favorite parts of it, actually. So I met with the Department of Human Services, the Department of Justice, HUD, and I spoke to the EPA specifically about the runway at our MMA that's going to be removed. When I had asked CDPHE about that, they said that it would be the EPA. So I live in one of the areas that has a hole with cellular service, so I'm pretty sure the EPA called on Friday because I saw I had a missed call from a restricted number. Didn't leave a message. Of course, my phone didn't ring, even though it was sitting right next to me. So hopefully they call so I can direct them to staff. And then I also mentioned the resident concerns regarding the Rocky Mountain Greenway. I'm pretty sure they already know about it, but just wanted to bring up our resident concerns. And then heard from some really great speakers, including the president. That was exciting to get to find out that he was one of our speakers. So text my mom and my dad, I'm in the same room as the president. So that was exciting. And then I saw Representative Pedersen and Senators Hickenlooper and Bennett. And Senator Hickenlooper actually had a message that he asked us to come back and give to our city councils regarding the housing crisis. He asked us to increase density and build more missing middle housing. And then I met with our NLC regional rep, so I found out about a lot more resources to help learn how to be a better city councilor. And I just want to mention that Kate did an amazing job helping with this trip. She put together a really nice itinerary. She made things really, really easy for me. So I just wanted to give a shout out to her because she just did such an amazing job. And then, and then I don't want to forget to, so I also met with our judge and staff to learn more about the courthouse and took a tour, and I enjoyed that very much. And so I have some dates so I can go watch our judge in action because I found it very, very enjoyable to learn more about that. And then I also want to thank Manager Freitag. So I watched last week, since I missed, I wanted to keep up on everything. And so I just wanted to thank you for sharing information with schools and on social media regarding the lead and the lead testing. So I know that's just the beginning, but thank you so much for taking the lead and doing that. So I appreciate that. And I believe that's all I have so far for counselor comments or updates.
Councilor Camelia.
Yes, so last week was the North Metro Arts meeting, and it was the same day as the snowstorm, so I did not end up going to that, so I'll look forward to the next upcoming meeting. But the following week, on Wednesday, I just mentioned, we have the Environmental Advisory Board for Westminster. I'm really proud that they're doing our first ever regional summit, so that's really exciting. We'll get to see what other cities have to say. And I also wanted to announce that I have been looking for a time to invite residents to speak with me, and I've finally found when that will be. So if we can ask our communications to put that on my profile on the webpage, that would be great. So 9:30, starting April 6th. on every other Saturday. I'll meet at Zoe's Coffee. And in the spirit of myself trying to get healthier and a lot of other folks I know getting healthier, I'm going to walk. I found a path that's about a mile. And so it'll be a walk and talk. We'll meet at 9:30. We'll walk for a mile, and then we can, if you want to skip the walk, then you can meet me at 10:15 at Zoe's Coffee, and, we can chat there. But otherwise, I'd love to, get a little group and do that every other Saturday. So you can find me there. And then I just wanted to say thank you, Manager Freitag. Last week, you gave very detailed information on the that Greenway path, and I appreciate that, as well as Counselor Island. Thank you for those links that gave further information on that. That's all been very helpful.
Thank you.
Counselor Ireland?
So I listened into the Inclusivity Board meeting. I was having problems with my Teams again. Hopefully tonight I got it figured out, we'll see. Anyway, I could see them and hear them, but they couldn't see me. But I did type a couple questions, and they answered those. So the primary meeting was a gentleman named Chris Lynn from the Senior Resource Center in Arvada, who takes care of the seniors. And I did ask how many seniors in Westminster use their nonprofit, and it was he told me 3,500 in the area, but only 50 in Westminster. But there's a big need for transportation, food, and housing because of everything getting more and more expensive. Lots of seniors are on the brink of losing their houses. He always needs more volunteers, and so I suggested that he go to the Just Serve website. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but nonprofits can put up any needs they have, and then volunteers can sign up on that site. And it's a really good resource. And I went on there, and we have several things from Westminster on there. But it kind of ties the needs to the volunteers, and that's what he really needed, because there's never enough volunteers. So that's what I listened into this week.
What's the website called? Just
Serve.
See, so last week I sort of dove into the first subcommittee meeting for Front Range Passenger Rail. There's 2 more this week.
Oh, God.
Including a much more in-depth work session with that board, focused on the ballot measure that's coming up that they may or may not put on the ballot.
They're still looking at 24 or 26?
For the ballot. We don't, that's,
That's the question.
yes, to be or not to be. So that's sometime. Then there was also Dr. Cog this week, so it'll be a busy week, just getting up to date on everything. So.
Transportation.
And land use. That's about it. Yep, that's my whole week.
We have St. Baldrick's on Sunday from 11 to 12:30, and a shout out to one of the original people that started that back when Shay participated with his cancer, because he lost his breath. One of the people that started this whole thing lost his brother yesterday morning, so my heart goes out to him. For me, I haven't given an update lately. I have another marker test at the end of the month. Their scheduling didn't work, so I have to remember to call, make sure which dates. I have scans on Wednesday. It's sort of that rotation now starting, so I have one on Wednesday. I see the cardio doctor that I haven't seen since surgery because I've been going through the surgeon. Now I go transfer to her. And Counselor DeMont wanted me to remind everybody Policy in Pilsner is always the third Thursday at 6:30 at Cocabelli's. So. What do you have?
All right, Mayor Pro Tem Councilors, we'll get started on the manager's report. So next slide, please. So first of all, city certainly recognizes with the heavy snowfall, especially it being a wet snowfall, that we have a lot of downed limbs across the city. And so on March 23rd, which is Saturday, this coming Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon. The Brow property, which is on the west side of the city, it's normally where people turn in any kind of trees, limbs, brush, leaves, etc. But it'll be open for people to deposit any limbs that they're able to manage to collect up from their yards, etc. It will be muddy out there. We'll have to have folks dropping or dumping on the gravel, and there could be long wait times depending upon the amount of patronage that we see. The forestry team does work with our snowplow operators, and if there are large limbs, things that need chainsaws to be reduced, things like that, the city is more than happy to get out and clean those up if necessary. However, most of those have already been addressed because we are working in tandem with our snowplow operators. They report them to the forestry team. If you want to learn anything more about this program, you can certainly visit our website /tree limb recycling. But again, Saturday morning, and if we still have folks that have a need, we can open it up in the future, but we'll get a start on it this weekend. Next slide. Wildland fire training exercise. Want to give everybody in the community a heads up. We'll obviously do this with social media and city messaging, but between March 17th and the 22nd, Westminster Fire Department is operating out at Metzger Farm doing wildland fire training. Now, it's important to note they won't be setting any actual fires to reduce, but working through their tactics, their techniques, their procedures on how to do that. So people are going to see, they're going to see trucks, ambulances, brush trucks, you name it, and a lot of firefighter personnel out there. But the key is that no actual fire will be used in this event. The public can still come out and use Metzger Farm and walk on the trails, that's fine. But we just want to make sure that if people see a bunch of fire apparatus at Metzger Farm, that's what it is. It's just training for wildland incidents. Next slide. St. Baldrick's Day event, the mayor just mentioned this, but our mayor, city councilors, community members, and staff raise money for St. Baldrick's Foundation and fight childhood cancer. The Yacht Club Salon will host the event, and it's Sunday, March 24th, so next Sunday, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So far, the community's raised over $205,000 since this began in 2012. You can certainly learn more and support the cause at the website listed there, www.stbaldricks.org/event/Westminster 2024. And you too can have green hair and get it shaved. So, great picture.
We have multiple colors hair.
Yeah.
And sometimes the way it falls, it creates artwork.
There you go. Okay. All right. Next slide. Next thing, just for the community, a heads up, we'll be talking to the council here in the future about long-term capital investment and needs. And so as part of the solutioning for that, we're getting some community feedback and through public engagement. And so a community survey is going to hit the streets on Wednesday of this week and run for about a week. And that survey will be either via phone or a new technology using SMS and texting, but it's specifically focused on our fire department's stationing/building needs, equipment needs, personnel needs, in order to continue to support a growing and expanding community. And so we think we'll get a better understanding of what our fire department services should be, and what's most valued, and then more importantly, how do we address the needs that we currently have. And so that will be available on the city's website on Wednesday on how you can participate if you want to sign up. But again, we'll be running that for about a week to gather data to share with the council as part of a solutioning problem for this need. Next slide. Westy Wins, great effort by our police department, recruiting up at CSU. We know that recruiting for police officers is challenging across the nation. Frankly, Westminster's doing great right now, but that doesn't come easily, and we certainly don't take it for granted. And so some of our own former Division I athletes are making inroads in their alma maters, which is pretty cool kind of connection back to those schools to get in front of some of the teams because those teams understand commitment, teamwork, and excellence. And so recently, prior to a job fair at CSU, Commander Drew Smith and Investigator Jesse Cohen were able to address the seniors on the football team about coming to be police officers or potentially making connections to our police department with people that they know. And so we've got 3 folks that have signed up to do ride-alongs, learn more. One passed on some information to his wife, who's already applied to be a public safety telecommunicator. But as I said, it's a tough fight out there to find qualified, willing, and superb candidates. And I'm just applaud the efforts that the police department has done to kind of rethink how they recruit folks and what those methods are. So this is a great example. Next slide. Some things to know. So special permits and license board meeting Wednesday this week, 7 to 8:30 p.m. has been canceled. The limb recycling that we just mentioned, Saturday, March 23rd, 8 to noon at the Brow property, and that's 10001 Alkire Street, essentially extreme west end of town. The adult egg hunt goes Saturday, March 23rd from 4 to 7 p.m. That's at Walnut Creek Golf Preserve. As mentioned, St. Baldrick's Day, Sunday, March 24th, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Yacht Club Salon. And our next city council meeting is Monday, March 25th, 6:30 right here. Next slide. Information only items this evening, Unified Code Development Housing. Next slide. And as always, want to remain accessible, responsive, transparent, certainly accountable. You can contact my office at 303-658-2006. You can email me directly at mfreitag@westminsterco.gov. And you can follow us on social media by liking us on Facebook, checking us out on Instagram, liking us, if you will, on X, or ringing our bell at Nextdoor. Pending questions, that's all I have.
Questions?
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, councilors. We've got 3 presentations tonight. First one is a presentation and update on downtown Westminster Center Park. That's not the final name, but that's the name that we're using now, but that's essentially the hub of recreational activity in our growing downtown. Yes.
I apologize. I did have a question on the information
Sure.
only item. And it was just to see if we were addressing, as part of the housing-related UDC amendments, if we're gonna be addressing parking per unit and guest parking in relation to, the different types of housing sizes and units that we're looking to.
Yes. So we're just in the framework stages of the code right now. This memo was really intended to be, an opportunity to touch base with the city council, let you all know where we are, some critical points where we want to touch base with you again. One of those being the presentation of the housing needs assessment, as well as pending state legislation and how that might shape the future of the code. So right now, we're just in the framing stages of it. We're putting together the chapters, the content, all those details will be added in as soon as we know a little bit more about the direction that you all want to go in housing policy and the direction that the state may end up mandating that we go. But yeah, parking.
One thought is, if you are introducing new concepts in relation to different housing types that we may not have much of in the city, I think it would be useful to give some examples of, hey, it's working well, and that's why we're recommending this in these, so just examples that we can look at and go check out.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks, John. And so we'll begin the presentation on downtown Center Park, and that will be led by our Parks, Rec, and Libraries Director, Tomas Herrera-Mischler.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and councilors. It's really a great pleasure to be here tonight to talk about the design for this park. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it? I'm looking at Mayor Pro Tem, who knows a lot about this project. So really, this park is poised to become the heart of our new downtown. And I think the design is really offering a lot of dynamic spaces for our residents to come and really connect with each other, to play and unwind and really just enjoy being in our new downtown. So really the design emphasizes flexibility. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the different areas in the park and what we're thinking how those areas can be utilized. I have a brief presentation tonight, so there'll be lots of time for question at the end. So the opening slide shows the master plan for all the parks and green areas planned for the downtown area. And the Center Park's 3-acre site is highlighted with that fluorescent box around it. You can also see the existing buildings have been very clearly indicated. The park that we're talking about, it's got Eaton Boulevard to the east. It's kind of northeast. And Fenton on the south. We got Park. It's a little bit hard to describe the directions because of the way that we're angled, but on the bottom side of the park is Park Place, and then on the top side or the northern side is Central Avenue. So it's right now what we fondly call Turf Park, but not for much longer. So really, like I was saying, we've divided the park into various distinct zones, and the different uses are kind of positioned depending on proximity to existing and future development as we currently understand it for the downtown. We think that Center Park, the way it's designed, is going to offer something for just about everybody. We know that the surrounding property owners and downtown residents and the businesses are really looking forward to this park being completed. We really expect the park to play a really critical role in anchoring future development projects because it adds significant value. It adds value to the adjacent real estate. It certainly enhances the visual character of our downtown and the quality of life of the people that are living there. The main entrance to the park, or sort of gateway to the park, is in the lower southwest corner. And that's really right across the street, catty corner from our plaza and the future food market hall, which I can hardly wait, along with a lot of other people, to have it and open up. So we really see the park becoming a very important central hub for downtown entertainment and visitation. There's a area that's designated number 13 on the northeast side of the park, and that is a small dog park. It's along Eaton Street, and really what it's intended is to cater to our canine companions. We want to have some shade, places for people to gather and chat, and then an off-leash zone for our pups to play. And certainly there are a lot of them in downtown already. So, this is just a illustration showing what we think the park is going to look like when it's completed. And you can see there's a north-south walkway that angles through the park. That really is drawing from the original Sasaki plan. And the walkway, it angles and draws you through the park and up to the north east corner, which then connects right over to a planned boulevard that will lead you directly to East Park. So it's very thoughtful design, and we were able to take some really great elements from the 2014 Sasaki plan and adapt them to this new version. So it's really tempting to talk about all of those elements in the illustration, but I'm going to break it down a little bit for you. So as I was saying, there's a series of rooms and corridors around the park that allows you to kind of move from one use to another and have a little bit of separation between uses. We've created a lot of places for people to just hang out and use it as a third space, as they call. So we've got home, work, and then a third place, which could be a library, or in this case, a park where we hope people will really use it for, just being out there and enjoying the setting and each other's company. There's a wide perimeter sidewalk. In this particular illustration, we show a farmer's market, but it's wide enough to allow people to walk in front of it and enjoy the vistas from this slightly elevated part of the park, but then also have art festivals or any kind of vendor type of situation. It's really nicely set up for that. We are going to install the logo sculpture of the new downtown logo sculpture, which we think is going to turn into an Aussie spot. We call this the family area. It's another one of those outdoor rooms where there'll be flexible furniture where the Adirondack chairs can be moved around. Just to the north of it, adjacent is a shade structure. Again, building shade right into the design. It's going to take a while for the trees to get that big and shady, but there'll be plenty of other shade structures out there right from the start. Adjacent to this is kind of to the left of the image is a fire pit, and then there's a really great children's activity area, which I'll be introducing you to. But we think it's center of this playground is a climbing structure that's reminiscent of the balloons that were so memorable for so many people in the Westminster Mall. And this particular structure is being designed by an internationally recognized playground designer and developer. It's called Play Structures, and we're really excited to be working with them on finalizing the design for this structure. So this just, it gives a sense of what it's going to be, but it's not exactly what it'll be once Play Structures finishes working on it. The other element about this playground, and actually all of the design features in the park, is that we embraced universal design, which means everybody can get around and enjoy this park. It is really thoughtfully designed for people of all different abilities. So cooling off in the summertime is going to be a lot of fun in this park. We've got this splash pad for the kids to have lots of splashy fun. And it's lit with LED lights, so it's a super energy efficient display. It offers lots of changing color effects. It gives a visual amenity for the park at night, and of course, lots and lots of fun. I'm glad to say that the water feature is very water-wise, and it will be recycling the water, using it over and over again, but safely with proper treatment. And there's also going to be other sort of amenities that, like a sound system, so that we can really set the tone. We can really create an ambiance for our visitors out there. There's also going to be very I think, carefully designed lighting throughout the park for both aesthetic but also security effects up there. So the heart of the park is that large lawn space, circular lawn space that you can see just over the restroom facility in that illustration. And the lawn space is really intended, it's got a natural slope to it. It'll be like a big natural amphitheater. And it allows for both just hanging out and enjoying yourself in the sun and throwing a Frisbee or hanging out. But it also can accommodate really well concerts and other performances out there. So it's very well designed for that purpose. You can see off in the distance to the right, there's the playground balloon structure, just to give you some sense of where we're at. And then there's another one of those outdoor rooms. In this case, we've put one of those shipping container food services. That's not part of the design. It's just one of the ways that we can use these outdoor rooms. And then just to the north of that shipping container, that green area that you see is a very flexible space where we can host all kinds of events. We could have in the winter time, it's designed to accommodate a ice rink. So if we wanted to have skating, we could have that in there. And I saw this in downtown Detroit, but they in the summertime they bring in a bunch of sand and they have a beach bar, and it's great fun and really popular, as you could imagine. So that's a really there's such a flexible space. That will be artificial grass. We've really limited artificial grass to only a few areas where there's a lot of traffic, so that they can look good but also accommodate a lot of use. There's the restroom facility is Silver LEED certified, and it has restrooms that accommodate on both sides. Lots of restroom facility there, and then in the center is a storage area to support special events in the park. So it'll make for real efficient special event setup and takedown. One of the things I'm really proud of this project is that it is CITES Silver certified. So CITES Silver certified is for landscape specifically, and it's similar to the LEEDs Silver for buildings, which is something that we have embraced for all the buildings in downtown. So we're taking that and applying it to the landscape. There are only 3 sites in the entire state of Colorado that are CITES certified. So I'm super, super proud of that fact, and looking forward to seeing this park really come to fruition in the coming year. It's very, very exciting. We'll be bringing a staff memo to you in the very near future and bringing this to you. I think really it's going to be such a vibrant focal point for not just downtown, but for the whole city. That's its intent. And we're creating a place that really can foster that sense of community. We want to really create a haven for relaxation, for recreation, and really connection that's unique to Westminster. Happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Counselor Azadi, I can't see you, so I'm going to ask first so I don't forget about you. Do you have any questions?
Yes. How many acres did you say it was?
It's 3 acres.
Okay, thanks. I think it looks really good.
Thank you.
Okay, I saw hands.
Yes, first of all, I am so excited. Congratulations, this is really exciting. And I'm very excited about the fact that it's gonna be CITES certified, which is really great. This is a lack of knowledge on my part. How does the turf fit into that in terms of sustainability? You know, is the turf made of plastic? Does that leach at all into water? Just some concerns that I would have.
Yeah.
And does it, and I understand the concerns around real grass for sure with water, but does it also make it hotter, you know?
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
there is concerns about in the summertime they can get quite hot. That's one of we're really being very picky about which turf we choose for this, and it'll be very, very, very carefully selected to try and minimize the negatives. We actually had big knockdown, drag-out conversations about turf, artificial versus real, didn't we? And so we came down to having the large turf area in the center as being natural grass, and then the really high-use areas where we're going to be turning things over a lot, we chose to go with the artificial turf.
That makes sense. And then another quick question. I love that there's tables and places for folks to sit. Are there I noticed that there's dense areas of vegetation and trees. Are there any like small or short natural paths that go through there, or any benches that could sit, beneath the, or is it just vegetation? Because it seems like a little bit unused. And in my mind, I'm going towards like the Botanic Gardens, where they've got the vegetation, they've got benches and places to sit and enjoy, with peace.
Yeah, there's some wonderful seating areas, and there's a bosque really planned for the northeastern end where people can come eventually out of their apartments or offices and come out and have lunch under trees with benches. The other thing I neglected to mention, and John Van would have really had my head if I had not remembered this, is that along the big, wide sidewalk there are these, I guess, rocking benches they're just wonderfully fun and a little romantic, and I think they're going to be just very, very popular element out there. You're going to see lots and lots and lots of families taking their photos there. There's going to be people getting engaged there. It's going to be a wonderful spot.
It's great to know.
Senator Mellon.
I'm really excited about this park, and I think it really does a great job of implementing the Power of 10 element that when we had the Project for Public Spaces.
Project for Public Spaces,
come in,
yeah.
and So you have so many great rooms and different ways to use them, so I was really happy to see that. I like that you still have some element of balloon, because as we continue to move further and further away from the mall, I think it's still important to remember those little moments of reminiscence that we can have and just the weird, or just like found moments. So I'll just continue to encourage that. I really liked the slide where you showed the picnic plaza. I don't know which number it was, like maybe back. It kind of keep going. Maybe one more back. That one on the left, it really reminds me of Bryant Park.
Yes, very much so.
I know the Detroit example you're talking about with the sand, so I like the example.
Campus marshes.
And it reminded me, and you maybe alluded to it, but having a library element here, because I know they have in Bryant Park a small library kiosk that helped to activate. And since we are starting to have a lot of residents here, and just as a way to kind of draw people, if there's a way we can integrate that, I'd love to.
Idea. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great idea.
And it would be lovely if Jefferson County, where those of us that live in Jefferson County have been paying for years and years and years and years and have nothing, that they would step up and put that little place there.
Double, triple, quadruple, underline. Agreed. I would love to see it as more permanent, but also just integrating. I know we have our kiosks, and just we have some innovative ways that we're trying to introduce that. Because also it would get people reading and just another way to occupy. Anyway, I did notice, we have a lot of these low benches, but low seat walls. And, when we start to add, they look really pretty in the pictures, but then we have to add all of the anti-skateboarding little things onto them, which is less beautiful. But it made me think that I'll still encourage, maybe there's a space, it may not be here, but somewhere in East Park, like, let the skateboarders go nuts. I mean, the more that we can engage all of our community and get them excited about coming here, I think it's more, we just create a more inclusive downtown. So if we don't allow skateboarders here, maybe East Park is the place to find some fun for them. And that was kind of it.
Councilor Allen?
So it's a beautiful park. I've had a lot of people ask me why there's nothing family friendly at the new downtown. My question is, where do they park?
Yeah.
Are they gonna have to all live there, or is there a place for people to park that actually don't live there?
Yeah, there's wonderful parking resources down there. We've got this incredible parking garage that's right, not even a block from here. It's almost across the street. There is a ton of on-street parking now. I'm guessing that eventually that's going to become more and more competition for those spaces. But right now, there's plenty of parking out there.
Another concern for me is it is at the top of the budget. Like, it's expensive, this park for 3 acres.
Yeah.
We have a water treatment plant, a courthouse, another park at Sheridan Green. Where's all this money coming from
Yeah.
to pay for it all?
That's a great question. This particular park is funded, about half of it is coming from post money, which is parks, open space, trails money that the voters voted for multiple times. And then there's other funds from our park. We have a park funds for capital improvements that we're taking from as well. When we're gonna be circulating a memo here in a couple weeks, and that'll have a very sort of detailed description of that as well. But yes, back when in 2014, when Sasaki designed this park, their estimate for the park was $13 million. Back in 2014, the staff has been working really, really hard with the designers and the project manager to value engineer this project down to 9,900,000, or I forget the exact amount, 9,000,000 and
10.17.
10.17.
well, it's with a $400,000 contingency. It's 10,000,000.17. So it's they did an amazing job of value engineering. I hate those words sometimes because sometimes you value engineer the wonder out of your project. That didn't happen this time. They did an amazing job of looking at what they could do to bring down that price but still maintain the quality. And they've somehow really threaded the needle on that one. So.
And I've brought this up before about the parking. Right now you have like 4 hours free or something like that down there. I would like to see us to make all the parking free. Because we are not making the money that we're spending to police parking. I know that we're spending like $700,000 a year to police parking and we're only making 70. That makes no sense to me. That's the numbers I've been given. So I think we'd get more people there, more people spending money if it was free and it was not this, it's confusing. Even when I go down there, I'm like, where can I park for free, you know, and for how long? And I've known too many people have got tickets down there, and it's older people that don't know how to use an app on their phone, and it's all app related. And I think it's confusing. I don't think it makes enough money to make it, I think you can make more money having free parking. And I would also, I know this isn't part of it, but these people that complained, they were young families to me when I was out campaigning about nothing family-oriented down there. We need to think about family-oriented restaurants besides the family-oriented park.
Yep. Sticking with this picture, we know people have animals and that those beautiful wildflowers are not going to look that way after every pup pees on them and walks through them. And we know that I know that from the promenade. Anything that's up about 1.5 feet and then you put your stuff in are beautiful, but ground level, not so much. It'll die. I can take you on a tour. And the pugs know, well, they put it there, so I should be able to use it. Yeah.
What about raised garden beds, kind of like they do in the Boulder downtown area where it's raised?
Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Because in the promenade proper, where they have, it's not very high, because Gibbs will sometimes jump in there and want to help plant the daffodils or something, and I grab him and say, no, that's for somebody else to do. So they can't do that, but when they're just like that, I can show you every area around the promenade. They put beautiful things, and the poor plants are begging for some water instead of just urine. So, just a thought. Then on the outer part that we saw a picture, what kind of, are we using some native grasses there so people can see what it looks like and how to deal with
Yeah.
it?
Are you talking about, I'm going the wrong way, right?
Yeah, back, or I think back,
I'm going the wrong way. Sorry.
that one. No, back, or whichever way, there. The ones that are up along 36 and the
On
bike
East
trail.
Park, yeah. That hasn't been designed yet, but I know that there's a very strong design inclination to use native plants in everywhere we can. And if not native, Colorado friendly. So very drought resistant. We do a lot of plant select, which is out of UC Bold, or UC State. I forget which one it is that we're, what, say it again?
Colorado State.
Colorado State. They go out and select native plants and test and find the best ones for use here in Colorado. And we tend to use almost exclusively plant select in our plant designs.
They just put out a nice long thing on Facebook that I shared with people because we keep saying we need to be more drought tolerant and use what's native, and we are the worst as the city, what we own and do, of doing it. So I would hope that all of the other grassy areas, we show what it does look like, so people, and what it's, I mean, we need some little signs so people know the common name to ask for, not the big Latin names. And they can honestly see what it looks like, how it holds up, and how it works.
Absolutely. One of my favorite teaching gardens that we have is at the MAC. It just wraps around the front and over to the southern side, and most of the plants are labeled, and we have a brochure that we give out, and so it's really very accessible for anyone that wants to see kind of the best plants. Although one of the best xeric landscapes we have is right out here in the plaza. I just think it's extraordinary. So.
Did you have something?
No.
Oh.
Last thought, sorry.
Okay, just one more thing with my stuff. I'm concerned about things, our parks are starting to run high. And I worry about sustainability and fiscal sustainability for this city because they are gonna have to be repaired. And I just want us to be thinking through that we aren't creating something that councils down the road are gonna go, what in the heck were they thinking about? It's gonna take this, and we can't always rely on going back to the voters. They expect us, we have a healthy budget. They expect us to use that wisely. So in my head, when I saw the price tag on this, that's just what goes through my head is, this isn't the first one, and what does that mean as things have to be replaced for all of them down the road, and where's that money gonna come from? So, who had,
Overall, and I wasn't part of the discussion for the full design, but I do wish that design-wise, we had more, less roads and more paths for like pedestrians and bikes, but I just wanna make sure that somewhere in there is going to be a place to, rack bikes. I don't know if that's included right now, but just someplace so that folks can get there and, have a safe way to protect their property.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Did Councilor Arlen have yours?
I have to agree with Mayor McNally about the cost, because I've gone to parks with my grandkids that are run down, that need revamped, and then we're spending money on a new park. So I have a problem with that. I want to know about the AstroTurf there. Is it, because they have trouble with PFAS from AstroTurf. In California, they made everyone tear it out after they said they could have it. I want to make sure that isn't an issue, because we're creating more PFAS allowing AstroTurf in our city.
That's a very good concern.
Mayor Pro Tem?
One, I love the bike rack idea, especially since we have the US 36 bike.
Right there.
Right
yeah.
there. And that was the idea, to kind of draw them off the trail. So yay for that. And just a curiosity about the O&M, the operations and maintenance. Will the GID be able to cover some of the higher maintenance costs that we have for these parks?
Yeah, just, I had asked that same question, so, GID is currently generating $1.2 million per year, and that rises as the downtown continues to grow and develop, and so that's what then funds your, O&M budget for maintaining this and the downtown. So, you know, as we continue to grow the downtown, it continues to sustain itself.
And a piece of that can be towards the parks, because I know that we have, you know, the water pieces, the water elements are
Mhm. Yeah.
higher maintenance.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really so smart the way it's been set up. So.
Yeah, I'm just really excited. I know some folks who are living in the downtown right now who have been waiting for this. They moved down there so to live in a more communal space, and this is one of the things that they were looking forward to. So I think it's beautiful, and I'm really excited. And I think it will be great, not just for the folks who live there, but for all of us who go and visit. So, yeah.
I see nothing else, thanks.
I just want to acknowledge John Van, who's here with us, who's done so much work on really leading this design effort. So really want to thank him for all of his hard work on this. So,
Thank you.
All righty. Mayor, our next one is a concept plan for Uplands Filing 4 Parcel D1. It's located on the southeast corner of West 84th and Federal Boulevard. And we're gonna bring our Uplands team in, and as we normally have done, staff will provide an initial presentation, and the developer will provide that second piece, so.
It's hard to follow.
Yes.
A beautiful park design.
They should have done that last, right?
Yeah.
You ready? Go ahead.
The concept review plan tonight is for Uplands Filing 4, Parcel D1, located on the southeast corner of West 84th Avenue and Federal Boulevard. This is a concept review plan. It is not a hearing on a development application. Its purpose is to allow City Council to learn more about a proposed project in its beginning stages and provide feedback to the applicant on City Council's general impressions of the proposal. In accordance with the Westminster Municipal Code, concept plan reviews occur after city staff complete the pre-application review for a proposed project, but before staff perform a technical review for the project. Technical review, which involves an official application for an ODP, PDP, or amendment thereto, will occur only if the applicant chooses to move a project forward after its concept review plan. As part of our process tonight, city staff will provide a brief introduction, and then the applicant or its representative will present an overview of the applicant's development proposal. City council may then ask questions of the applicant and provide the applicant feedback on the proposal. I stress, the city council comments on this proposal are gratuitous in nature and not binding on city council, the planning commission, or city staff, or the applicant.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem, City Councilors, John McConnell, Interim Planning Manager, here tonight to provide you with the introduction to this concept plan review for Uplands Parcel D1. So the project is located on the southeast corner of West 84th Avenue and Federal Boulevard. It's highlighted in red. On the left of your screen, you'll see the zoning map, and on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see the comprehensive plan map. As you can see, the property is zoned PUD, and that's indicated in the light gray color. Properties to the west and across Federal Boulevard are zoned R1. To the north, you have zoning of C1 in the red, B1 in the blue, and T1 in the light blue. You also have to the south zoning of R3 and O1 for the public park, Cobblestone Park. To the right, again, that's your comprehensive plan. Comprehensive plan is residential medium density for the subject property. You have a comprehensive plan to the north across the street of commercial and employment office institutional campus. To the west, you have residential low density, and to the south, you have suburban multifamily and parks and open space. Here's the general site plan as presented in the pre-application review for this concept plan. That consists of 56 townhomes, 38 single-family detached homes, and an acre of publicly accessible park. And the park would also interface and link to the existing cobblestone park to the south. And this is the design intent for the single-family homes. You would have a combination of 2-story and 3-story single-family homes. Also, townhomes. Here you see the design intent for the townhome architecture. So the concept plan review did provide public notice. There were 7 signs placed on the property, notice in the newspaper, and 2,292 notices mailed to adjacent property owners within 1,000 feet of the subject property. And this concept plan review will ultimately require approval of an official development plan by the City Council, as with all Upland's original ODPs. So this concludes the staff's introduction. And I'll turn the presentation over to our applicant to provide you with their presentation, unless you have any questions of me at this point.
Any questions?
Sure.
Mayor Pro Tem?
You just reminded me with the number of property owners that were sent notices. Does that include renters or did?
The city code requires that all property owners and addresses. So it would include anyone renting or residing in a dwelling unit.
Right, thanks for clarifying.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right, good evening. My name is Marcus Pochner. I'm a land use and community outreach consultant for Uplands. There are going to be 3 of us, as you can see here at the table tonight, running through the conversation, and very anxious to hear from all of you. I want to thank Mayor Pro Tem, and councilors for your time and attention. And to provide an update on this D1 site. This is the first parcel we brought forward. On parcel D, we have now neighborhoods being planned in A, B, C, and D. So it's really nice to talk about them and talk about neighborhoods in all portions of the site kind of moving forward on Uplands. Next slide. Again, myself, Kaylee Gillespie, will be presenting for Norris Design, and then Bonnie is here as well. We also have a number of consultants in the room. If they're engineering or design or architecture questions, we'll certainly be available for those as well. Next slide. As John went through here, this is the site, a really unique site, very interesting to access it, kind of a remarkable grade. All of us think of this site a lot for the views back to downtown Denver from watching fireworks on this site, and really that connection to Cobblestone. The Greenbrier neighborhood is getting a lot of work on it right now. You probably all know that the affordable housing site just south of our site there, a lot of changes there, and we really look at this as a great way to connect to a very diverse and interesting neighborhood and to provide some very important open space connections here as well. Next slide. This shows those notices, again, the 7 signs, and yes, an actually pretty dense existing neighborhood, so a lot of notice to the surrounding neighbors. Next slide. This is that snapshot we always provide to everyone on the overall Uplands update. So we want to be sure and share with you what we've been sharing with the community generally about the process that's happening. This next slide kind of goes through, all of you have seen this before, but we always start with what you may be seeing on site. So the sanitary sewer line on Shaw that's being improved right now, the green, the storm drainage, and then all the water lines. I will note, and all of you for particular attention have noticed there's a lot of overlot grading going on right now, primarily on parcel B, the larger site. We are almost complete on the overlot grading. Of course, there'll be other grading as the individual neighborhoods come through, but the overlot grading is going on. You're seeing dirt piles kind of move, and I mean that they're temporary. They move from one location to the other. So if there are questions, we're just going through that process now, and then each neighborhood we go about the final grading. But that is the overlot grading that's happening right now. This next slide kind of layers in, and every time we bring this to you, we think about there's so much information on here, but I think it's a really good guide to just show the overall uplands and see the progress of the community and then the individual neighborhoods. A2 and B1, the neighborhoods that show the site plan, those are approved, right? Those are approved neighborhoods. And then C2 and A4 will come to council in the near term. I think in the next month, both of those neighborhoods come forward. The purple denotes sites that have gone through the concept review. And then you see here D1 tonight going through the concept review as well. Also important to notice C1A and C1D, those are in the previous city review process. So they didn't go through concept, but they'll working their way process. That's one of them is an affordable housing project, and then one from Crown Point. So those are working through and eventually will come to council. Obviously, if we don't have it colored yet, we're just working on those neighborhood plans and really still planning it. But it gives you a real picture of all the neighborhoods going through. If you look on the bottom, that includes for rent, affordable multifamily we're bringing soon, the for sale, and all the different housing typologies that are involved in those neighborhoods as well. Next slide. This shows a slide that you're all very important or very knowledgeable about, and something that the city and the neighborhoods actually just worked and really thought a lot about this. It's really interesting on parcel D tonight. When you look at that parcel there on the southeast corner, there's just, I think there's 7.3 acres of that total 40 plus acres there is in parcel D. And you can see what it does from that historic view corridor, looking at that corner back downtown, and then also actually just connecting and making cobblestone accessible from 84th, from Federal, really pulling that into the site today. If you go to Greenbrier today, it has a dead end. It doesn't have a sidewalk along there. It actually has kind of a tough connection over to the cobblestone park. So it actually, this really will provide some connections, pedestrian connections all across that site. This shows, importantly, again, this goes all across of uplands, but we just always try to focus on the parcel D that we're talking about tonight. So just on that corner, again, you'll see 4 things that really happen here. First, there's a striped bike lane that gets added along 84th. That's the green line that moves along 84th there to the east and west. The yellow, basically our perimeter, shows an 8-foot sidewalk that really gets wrapped. And again, pulls Greenbrier, that neighborhood south, that development there, into the park, into the future open space. And then you see at the intersection there, we're actually redoing that intersection and the signals there and adding a very important crosswalk on that northbound leg there that crosses across 84. So again, just another kind of a tool to make this a site that you could cross the street and safely have safe passage across that roadway. Next slide. This always has a lot of information on it, so I'll just say this is kind of our, this was a suggestion by the mayor many months ago about showing what we had in the PDPs, the respective PDPs, and then what we're providing. So just the first 2 are about the overall. Of course, the open space is staying the same, the affordable housing, which you'll see soon, those units. But then focusing to D1 that's in front of you. It allows for 94 single family attached. We are bringing forward 94 homes here, 3-story, 2-story, detached, and 2-story townhomes. You'll see we're right in line, of course, on the dwelling units per acre, the density, and then much more publicly accessible private parks. And a lot of that is about the connections working with staff. I'll be honest, you're gonna see a lot about setback changes and requests because it's such a unique parcel and how we do it. As you can see, it prescribed in our PDP 100-foot setback from Federal. We're actually at 300 plus, right, because of the setback of the view corridor and the open space. So a very unique site, very interesting topography, and really how we tried to plan this uniquely to fit into that existing site. I think we're gonna transition here. Kaylee's gonna walk through a little bit of the site plan. I will note again that we're gonna show a lot of, as we try to, some of the exceptions that we will request and go through that. And then again, our site is, everyone's here to answer any questions. I'll just note as Kaylee transitions here, Kaylee Gillespie from Norris, that our only access point is off of 84th. So this is such a point about why the neighbors have done such a great job on, and the city, on this parkway connection. That park is so much for the existing neighborhood and pulling those pedestrian connections and an east-west linear connection there. And I think just how much that's gonna add. In that picture, you see affordable housing and senior housing, and then the neighborhood that's there. So a very complete, holistic neighborhood that we wanna add to as well. Kaylee.
Awesome, thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. As Marcus mentioned, Kaylee Gillespie with North Design. We're pleased to bring forth the Uplands D1 neighborhood, which will add to the rich housing diversity and housing stock by providing for sale single-family detached and single-family attached townhomes. This neighborhood was designed from the outside in. This began with the roughly 3.06 acres of view corridor shown along Federal Boulevard with the crosshatch on the screen, which was agreed upon through the PDP process to preserve the views of downtown and to expand upon with the 4.27 acres of PLD to the south that improves access and pedestrian connectivity to the existing underutilized cobblestone park. The homes are strategically placed on the balance of the site to accommodate the existing grades and the site's existing condition. There is significant topography, with the high point located along West 84th Avenue and falling south approximately 35 to 40 feet. The two proposed detention ponds are located on the south at the low point of our developable portion of this neighborhood. The site is accessed in two locations: the main access point along West 84th Avenue, which utilizes a standard local street section that traverses to the west, terminating in a cul-de-sac. A second point of access is provided via alley, connecting our proposal local street to the existing West 83rd Way to the east. We're providing 3 different home types within this neighborhood for a total of 94 homes. The homes along West 84th Avenue in the dark orange are tuck-under townhomes. The dark yellow represents our 3-story single-family detached homes, and the lightest cream color represent our 2-story single-family detached homes. The lightest cream color represent our these 2-story single-family detached homes are the only homes in this neighborhood that are front-loaded and are strategically located here to accommodate the existing grade through a walkout design. The red stars shown on the orange and yellow lots denote where we'll have roof decks, celebrating the stellar views to the south. Centrally located and aligning with the main access of West 84th Avenue is our publicly accessible private park. This space has been designed to utilize the grade and capitalize on views while providing function through tiered decks and allow for activities such as yoga and outdoor exercise. Directly adjacent to that, we're proposing a dog park in the mauve color on the screen to the east, and we're providing several pocket park spaces sprinkled throughout this neighborhood to focus on pedestrian connectivity to grant access to the 7+ acres Marcus had talked about. A variety of floor plans and architectural styles are provided within this neighborhood, which include newly designed homes for this specific Uplands neighborhood. First, we have 2-story single-family detached homes, which each will have a 2-car garage and include a walkout basement and are located in the cream-colored lots on the previous plan. Next, we have our 3-story single-family detached homes. These are the 25 homes shown in yellow on the previous site plan. Each home has an alley-loaded 2-car garage and a roof deck to take advantage of the views south. And finally, we have townhomes, which are alley-loaded 2-story tuck-under homes. These homes front West 84th Avenue and also feature rooftop decks. Here you can see how our proposed site plan and home types accommodate the existing grade of the site. On the left-hand side of the screen is our key map showing where the 2 cross sections are cut. The A section on the west side of the site plan is shown at the top of the screen, while the B section on the east side of the site is shown at the bottom. As mentioned, this neighborhood slopes towards the PLD. As shown on the upper section, on the north edge of the site, we are proposing 2-story townhomes along West 84th to utilize tuck-under configuration to accommodate the existing grade while the alley layout activates the street frontage along West 84th. These homes step down and share an alley with a 3-story alley-loaded single-family detached home. As you can see here, the roof lines of the 3-story product are nearly in line with the 2-story tuck-under townhomes. These 3-story homes front on a local street that is shared with the 2-story single-family detached homes with front-loaded garages. Here you can see the walkout condition that picks up more grade and provides walkout basements. The second cross-section shows the condition on the east side of the site. This shows how the 2-story tuck-under townhomes accommodate the existing grade and share an alley with the 3-story single-family detached homes on the south side of the site. Within our specific ODP, we will be asking for a couple of exceptions, as Marcus mentioned, to the city regulations. Exceptions have always been anticipated within Uplands in order to comply with the vision established in the Uplands PDP and provide much-needed housing diversity within the city of Westminster. City code also supports the need for exceptions. Uplands is proposed PUD and defined here. The zone district is specifically intended to integrate land use and site conditions as a unit and fully utilize the physical characteristics of the site through the reduction of lot sizes, absence of setbacks, and bulk restrictions. Provide for diversification and flexibility of housing types and housing prices and overall design. Our first exception is one we've requested on most Uplands neighborhoods and is tied to the city's landscape regulations, which require an entry median. In place of this, we will provide a subdivision entry sign and landscaping along our main access at 84th Avenue, and this will still celebrate the entry into the community, just using a different form. This provides additional room for trees to grow while upholding the necessary widths for fire access in a pedestrian-friendly street section. Now we're going to walk through the single-family detached standard exceptions we'll be requesting, starting with our, on the table here denotes the single-family detached requirement in the middle column and what we are proposing as worst-case scenario in the right-hand column. In most instances, will actually be less than what is listed, but these kind of show the 3 lots that touch the PLD on our western portion of the site. You can see those are a little bit different in size, so we need to ask for a few more exceptions in those instances. Our first exception relates to those lots. The Uplands PDP denotes that front-loaded single-family detached homes are not permitted within this planning area. Due to the grade of the site, we're providing this home type to maximize views to the south while providing walkout basements and add to the housing diversity within this neighborhood. Next, we have a building height exception. We are requesting for SFD standards to allow up to 2 stories max. However, it's important to denote that the PDP allows a 40-foot maximum height. We are proposing 3-story alley-loaded homes with a roof deck that creates a maximum height of 45 feet to accommodate the stairs, and a 2-story home with a walkout basement with a 30-foot maximum height. The 45 maximum height allows for our homes to be within the allowed building height. These provide minimal visual height impacts and to match the existing fabric in the area, which include 4-story senior living to the southeast and 2-story 35-foot height multifamily apartments to our south. The front, side, and rear garage door, porches, and decks that are listed here, we are requesting smaller setbacks to accommodate diversity of product that complement the current site constraints. As mentioned earlier, these requests show the worst-case scenario, and in several instances will be less. Along the southern edge, the 3 cream-colored lots on the west side, we are requesting a 10-foot setback to the PLD to provide a unique home type in this area. In addition to those 3 unique lots, we are generally are wider but narrower lot. We are asking for an exception to the requirement that states the same model shall not be built on adjacent lots. As a unique model is being designed for those 3 lots, while still the same model will vary by providing 3 unique elevation styles. Due to the uniqueness of grade of the site, we are taking advantage of the views. We are requesting an exception to the 30% of the same model to be built on a single side of a block, due to the same model being provided along this public street. The streets will work through staff through the ODP process to provide distinct architectural facades to help provide a unique and differentiating streetscape. Similar to the SFD standards we just walked through, we're now going to touch on the single-family attached exceptions that apply to the orange color lots along West 84th. We're requesting a reduction in setbacks along adjacent streets. These reductions balance the providing thoughtful transition while still activating the street with pedestrian-friendly designs. The building design exceptions we are going to walk through on this slide are similar to recently approved Uplands neighborhoods. Roof overhangs, code requires an 18-inch minimum. On the SFD, we are requesting to have a 0-inch overhang. As staff mentioned in our pre-app, they wanted a differentiation in our elevation styles. So by allowing this, will help with that. And we are requesting an exception to the window projections to single-family detached homes, similar to other Uplands neighborhoods. And regarding the deck columns for the single-family detached, we will be requesting that here, also similar to other Uplands neighborhoods. Next, we have roof pitch. We're also requesting this similarly to our other Uplands neighborhoods. And then last but not least, we are requesting a garage depth of 22 feet that includes potential stair locations. The stair depth allows for 19-foot clear depth for parking and still providing 3 foot for stairs, trash, and other storage. And a 20-foot width for our internal townhome units to be consistent with the standard that were applied in other Uplands neighborhoods. We're also asking for parking defined in code that 2 off-street guest parking spaces shall be provided for all 3 home types. While we will be providing 2-car garages for all product types within this neighborhood, 2 off-street guest parking spaces for single-family detached are required, and these will be provided for the 2-story detached front-loaded homes, and 1 guest space is required for every 3rd townhome. Within this ODP, we're proposing a combination of on-street surface spaces and head-in spaces to meet the total requirement.
That's great. Oh, sorry, you transitioned to me. I think we wanted to go through those again, probably showing a little bit of the design that we're trying to put in place. We'd love to hear your comments. Again, a very unique site, over 35 feet of fall from 84th down to Cobblestone, and really trying to do more of a terrace development. So hence why you see some of those changes in the setbacks. But we'd love to hear from all of you, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Councilor Azadi, do you have anything?
No, I do not.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I think it's a good approach to addressing the site conditions with the terrace. It kind of reminds me of the Connections project over next to our Sheridan Park and Ride. That was a very tight, difficult site, and it has a lot of, if you guys remember, it has a lot of fall to it. With respect to some of the variances that you're asking for, I think it's with respect to setbacks, I think those seem to me to be pretty appropriate because I like actually activating 84th a little bit more, and having the buildings a little bit closer to the street, still set back enough where I feel like it'll kind of create a nice balance. They won't feel like they're right on the street with a 35-foot setback. It's still pretty generous. I think the heights make sense too because of the fall on the site. You don't really have anything that's overwhelming any of the existing development. You also have taller buildings on the north side, so in more commercial development, so it's a pretty mixed context for the site. So those don't bother me too much. The only things that I happen to like roof overhangs and eaves because it creates just a little more depth to the architecture. So, the variations and the elevations are good. It's just those that you could use some eaves. The garage, I understand what you're trying to do with the garage location in the larger single-family detached homes on the south side, in that I think they're supposed to be pushed back further from the front elevation. But I see that with the change in grade, it would be kind of hard to float a garage further back. The only request I'd have with some of the elevations, it looked like the garage still was pretty prominent. So if there's a way to sort of really emphasize the entry, and it's hard to tell, it would be nice to be able to still have those porches or the other living spaces come out a little bit further. You don't have to push them. I think there's a good balance of, setting the garage plane where it's at, but yeah, just maybe a little bit more emphasis on those other elements. The garage depth is sad, but so I would just encourage slightly deeper, because we all drive huge cars out here. Especially trying to fit, I have a 3-car garage and nobody wants to go look in that. It's like maybe a dead body in there, I'm not sure. But just being able to put trash cans in there, it's really tight with 19 feet. And then the only other question I had was more of a site question with the park dedication areas. I'm just curious, and maybe this is somewhat for parks to answer as well, but on this south side where we have the park dedication, is there a way we can, I'm not seeing the trail connections kind of going into Cobblestone Park, and that would be great if there could be some, maybe they're just not illustrated here, but curious to know how parks might treat that northern chunk right against Cobblestone. Would we expand the park, make it a little more integrated?
One thing we're doing as we're preparing the ODP is it's kind of a fine balance, because the city's taking the lead on designing the actual PLD, but we're designing the balance of it. But we do have the commitment to get a trail connection through there to comply with our PDP. So we're meeting with staff to kind of figure out where that line is, so that we can have some of those connections and improvements with the development of this while we're waiting on the rest of the park to be designed. So I think that's a great point, like finding how do we get that right amount of connections in with this initial development.
Yeah, I mean, just the opportunity to expand Cobblestone Park and make it, maybe even get a play field in that area where it's currently not. And then the dog park area, is that public or it's just private to this development?
We haven't figured out those exact details yet. And it's not a huge dog park, so I want to be mindful of how much space we have and just the maintenance of it. But we're still trying to figure out the access on that piece.
Let's call it a dog run.
Yeah, I think that's a better term, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Remind me what a tuck under is.
Yeah,
You
so
lost me.
a tuck under is, let me go to the elevation
We're gonna show you the elevation where the garage kind of tucks
Do you
under,
wanna show
you'll
this?
see.
section,
Yeah.
yeah.
There you go.
So here on the left-hand side on the upper section there, you can see how you have that your garage is underneath kind of the basement level and allows for that product type to kind of pick up grade and lessen the amount of walls necessary. And then your living space is above that with your front door, and then you have a story above that. So it's still a 2-story from the front side of the house, but the back side more of a 2.5.
Okay. I could not vision what that was supposed to be, Counselor Ireland.
So I have a problem with a lot of things, but the parking, where are you suggesting they park on the street?
So we will be providing parking along our public right-of-way that terminates into a cul-de-sac. And then right in front of the dog run, we have several on-street head-in spaces there. So we'll have those as well. And then those south lots, as a reminder, those will have driveways, so they'll accommodate the 2 parking spaces there as well.
Okay, so I have a problem with the garages being too small, and then the parking situation, because I'm getting messages every day on my phone about break-ins of cars, stealing cars, and this is opening up more car theft, more vandalism of cars. when there's no parking near your house. So I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the garages being too small to get a car in there, because I think people should keep their cars in the garage if they can. Because we don't live in a utopia like we used to. And the detention ponds, where does the water go when it overflows? Because I have them in my neighborhood. Huron was flooded. Cars were underwater out there during the 500-year flood. So I have a problem with detention ponds in general. I think things should be underground, but that's my opinion.
So thank you for your comments about the parking and the garage. I think that's something we're really trying to look at. I mean, this grade, and Mayor Pro Tem Nermella mentioned it as well, like just looking at that, we're trying to stagger that depth. We've talked about that before, where the stairs load on one side. So we understand we want that accommodation as well. Some of that is those 3 lots that are just so much more shallow, right? So appreciate the point. We're trying to get, it's interesting, this looks like a really big neighborhood. It's actually a pretty condensed space, right? So that guest parking is really internal to the site. It's off of Clay Street, which is the main access. On to your point about the detention, or your question about the detention, of course, coordinating with staff and all of the agencies on that, again, to detain it, right, to hold that water and to release it. I know you understand that well. So we believe we've sized that appropriately. I'm certainly going to defer to an engineer member or Bonnie on that, but that's where it was designed on those. Again, as you know, Counselor, such remarkable grade on this, and kind of that's the area where we could detain it, because that's kind of a flatter space there.
We had a hand go up back
Yeah,
there.
please, yeah.
So still working out the exact specifics.
If you'll come forward.
You gotta come to
Yeah,
the table.
please. Go right ahead. Sit right here.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So Tyler Robinson, I'm with Cage Civil Engineering. I'm one of the engineers on this project. We're still at concept level on exactly what the overflow route looks like, but we will detain the 100-year event, and we'll release it less than pre-development conditions. Based on the topography of the site right now, without anything there, everything historically drains south to Cobblestone Park. We're gonna follow a similar route, but exactly what the emergency route looks like is still to be determined. But we wanna be good stewards of the area and responsible with how we convey that water.
One more question is, who maintains this alleyway that's in here?
The HOA.
That's what I'm afraid of. That is a big expense when that wears out. And I know, 65% of our city's HOAs, and they can't afford to replace all this stuff all the time. So that is a problem too for me.
I had similar thoughts to Councillor Ireland's, which is just due to recent discussions we've had with residents. The trail around the residents, and it looks like, is this trails through the park or not? What are the dotted lines? Can you help me?
That's our property line.
It's a property line, okay, so there's not actual,
There's a trail that wraps it very closely. If you can, you can't see my mouse. So on the west hand side of the proposed detention pond, there is a trail that connects from there and follows up those, the little, I don't know, those 3 weird little lots, the cream colored lots, follows that and goes all the way to the cul-de-sac on the left hand side.
okay, so it's not extensive. Due to conversations we've had recently, I just wanna make sure that these are something that are feasible for the HOA to maintain long-term. I just wanna make sure that's on our minds. And the grass, or the parks area, same concern, I guess. I realize we probably haven't fully developed that, but are we just planting grass? Are we planting a full park? Who's using it? Who's taking care of it? And who's paying for it?
Yeah, great question, Counselor. So just in your comments about that, so I will say we have some responsibilities in the original PDP about first of all, on the sidewalks, and then you're starting to see some of our internal sidewalks. One thing that we always try to caution about on the view corridor and the PLD is the city will go about planning that process, right? So we have responsibilities for some of those trails, as Bonnie alluded to, but there's a lot of design that's gonna go into those, right? So I think to be determined more on those pedestrian connections. On the green or the grass, your point is absolutely correct. I know there was just a number of comments about the previous park about native plants, plant select, all the things that we're looking at. So don't think of that as turf. That's not how we're viewing it. we think we're looking at very sustainable plant palette and very, kind of in that same design. So I think that's just us showing that as open space and view corridor, the greens that's around it.
Okay. Otherwise, just thank you for using this space wisely to get that density in there.
Yeah, this is just an editorial, but I was there about 2 hours ago, and there were about, no lie, 50 kids in Cobblestone Park coming from the school and walking around there. And there is no natural connection over to Greenbrier, right? So just the linkage that the city asked for the sidewalk that'll come off of 83rd, right, and kind of make that mountain peak there. Just having that connection to see that. There's so many families that are living in Greenbrier and then the senior community. It's pretty remarkable what that will knit together there. So we think, honestly, the city really saw this site and kind of tied that together. And someday, this is a park that probably benefits more of the existing neighborhood, certainly more than probably what we're building. Yes, great views, all of that, but it really connects at a pedestrian level to those, and we think that's just a great amenity for them.
Helpful.
Yeah, I do like how it's a mixture of townhomes and single-family homes in the same neighborhood. And what I'm curious about is do you have any idea what the price point for these homes are for people who will be moving in?
So Counselor, I'll be honest, we don't know that yet. As you know, this neighborhood, we're kind of just trying to figure out like the different price points now. I'll be very straightforward that the views across here are pretty remarkable, right? And so that generally denotes kind of a lot price or something that gets added to that because of those views. It's so unique, the view corridor you have off of there. So, but I think to work against, if you will, that price point getting too high is why we really went to the different housing typologies and that townhome product particularly to try to get that in. I will say here again, reflecting on that neighborhood, it's just such a diverse, right, with existing housing, the senior housing, and then the market rate. So we don't know those price points yet at all. I'm admitting that it probably will trend a little higher because of those view corridors. But again, I think that's why it's so great. These amenities are actually more enriching to the neighborhood than probably the property itself.
The views, and then also those lightest colored lots are outside of the semi-custom homes we have in B2. Those are our biggest lots in Uplands to accommodate that walkout condition. So that'll impact the price as well.
Do you have any idea about the square footage for the different home types?
I bet, go ahead. Yep. So just in design, although we have similar products, so we can probably share that, like Council will come back to that and go through it again, trying to look at that. Probably a diversification, I'm gonna say this, probably from like 1,600 square feet to those larger homes, the 10 or 12 of them on the south side are a little larger square footage across that.
So are you saying the townhomes would probably be about 1,600 square feet?
It's the other model we've seen, and we're gonna actually let me get out of the way and let Paul Brady, our architect, answer that question.
Hi, I'm Paul Brady, architect. The home square footages are currently from about 1,800 to 2,800 square feet.
Okay. I do think for affordability, we do need some smaller homes. Are there any neighborhoods where you're looking at building smaller homes?
Absolutely.
Because those are fairly large.
Yeah.
Just northwest of here, across the corner.
A7.
Yeah, A7.
The northwest corner of
I don't even know
84th
if
and
we've
Federal.
done concept yet with you guys.
We have, yeah.
We have.
Yeah.
Those are really small. I think those are starting, I want to say like 1,250, 1,300 square feet.
Okay.
And then on this spreadsheet, just some other ones, 1,466, 1,506, 1,535, 1,308. So.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to hear that. It's just good to have those options for affordability. And those are all the questions I had.
Anything else, Mayor?
Quiet.
I just wanted to say thanks for the presentation, and when you look at that land, I wondered what you were gonna be coming up with, because it's interesting. And I think you've done a good job. And I look forward, I'm always concerned about parking because I just know if I lived there, my knit and crochet group on Sundays would not have a place to park. And I'm not the only one that does stuff like that. So I think of Thanksgiving and Christmas, not everybody's gonna be going away. They're gonna be asking people to come in. So any place we can have parking for folks, I think is critical.
Great.
Because there isn't really any place else. You can't park on 84th, and you can't park on Federal, so these folks are landlocked.
Terrific.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Yes, thank you. Mayor.
Thank you.
As stated at the outset of the concept review plan, counselor comments are gratuitous and do not bind or obligate the applicant, city staff, the planning commission, or city council to any course of action or future decision. I will now close the concept review portion of this meeting.
Thank you.
That brings us to, we're supposed to have boards and commissions appointments. I would just like to ask if we could agendize this piece for an executive session at a future date so that normally we talk after we've seen, normally we've done live interviews, this time we're doing it differently. But that's when we sit and share, really, where do we see people best fitting and have that discussion. And I think for people's privacy, it's more fair to do that with the 7 of us and then go to give our decisions to city clerk, and then she makes a resolution of who's going to go where. So I just ask if I have 4 people that would agree to that.
I'll say I agree right away because I was wondering, for the privacy's sake, how this would work, so I appreciate that.
I agree. Me too. I had a bunch of questions. I was like, what about this? What about this
Yeah,
for them?
yeah.
Yeah, because it didn't quite line up right.
Okay, so
So we will put this on an executive session for post-meeting, next meeting, March 25th. And then we'll bring back whatever decisions you have for approval via resolution on the 8th.
Yes.
Yes, good. Okay, done.
we have reason for executive session.
We do, Mayor, and first I would ask, in order to permit Councilor Zadi to participate remotely, if you'd be willing to entertain a motion to allow his remote participation in the exec session.
And do 2 separate ones, one so that David can listen when he gets home.
So Councilor Demott, being absent tonight, will have access to the recording
You don't have to
of
do
the
anything
exec
tonight.
session,
Okay.
so no motion is required for that.
Okay, so is there a motion for Councilor Zadi to be remote?
I'll move.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, thumbs up?
I
Okay, so we're good?
I just have one question on the boards. Can people still be applying till next week?
Yeah, yes, thank you for the question, Counselor. We had a study session in August discussing boards and commissions, and City Council requested that we change to a recruitment of an ongoing model so they can always apply. We actually do not have enough applicants for the current vacancies, so if we would love it if more people applied. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Mayor, the executive session that's proposed for council this evening is a discussion of a personnel matter, goal setting specific to the city manager pursuant to Westminster Municipal Code, Section 111.3C1 and Colorado Revised Statute 246402-4F1.
do we have, I will go around the room and ask you to give your name, and if you're willing to go into executive session, keep it confidential.
Improv, yes.
You're not gonna be
Okay.
here.
Claire Carmelia, yes.
Christina Ireland, yes.
Sarah Nermella, yes.
Obi,
OB is at a yes.
Nancy McNally, yes.
Mark Freitag, yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Then I think what we would ask is for tonight's open portion of the meeting to conclude, such that the clerk can end the webcast and then start a separate recording for the executive session.
It is 8:10 and our study session is over. Does anybody need a quick break while we transfer everything?